Here's the thing. Jermaine Genius and Jim White were at the last fight when these two met, and you wouldn't go. And I'm talking about Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. And they go again on September the 20th, somewhere in London, a venue yet to be confirmed. TBC. Thank you, producer Luke. You loved that first fight, didn't you, Jermaine?
I did, yeah. Why didn't you go, Simon?
For a variety of reasons.
Long story.
Only because I listened to the show. Obviously, I know you're a huge boxing fan.
Ideologically, I didn't agree with the fight. I thought it was a pup. I thought it was simply about money. And of course, at the end of the day, professional sports is about component parts of money. And I didn't like the whole, dog and pony show that was around it. And so I'd said very early doors, I think it's a poor fight. Now, I can be like everybody else, which is ultimately become a sycophant and run off to get a free ticket from Frank already and go and watch something I didn't agree with, or I can have some principles and say, I don't like it, fair play to the boys, we reward mediocrity, people get paid for mediocrity, here's a big bag of money for mediocrity. And I maintain that view. And people
but the thing was, it was anything but mediocre. But you weren't to know that before it.
Well, it wasn't, from a boxing point of view, what it was a bar fight.
Mate,
and if you like bar fights, that's fantastic. What it was theatre. The media created it, turned it into... I genuinely couldn't care less if Chris Eubank Sr. got out of that car. I spent more than enough time with Chris Eubank Sr. to work out what he is and what he isn't. So I didn't need all that spectacle. I didn't like all the hypocrisy. I don't buy into the nonsense about, he's so weight drained. Well, he's weight drained because he accepted the weight clause so he could get paid £6 million. He's so weight drained because he wanted another £1 million because he didn't want to have a rehydration course, and I can't buy into all that crap. I can't. And it's theatre and it's part of the media spectacle.
How have you been, Jermaine? Are you well, mate?
No, I'm enjoying listening to this.
But you asked me. And
I know.
So here we are again. This is a fight between...
So will you go to this one?
No, not particularly.
Oh, Simon.
I think,
of course you will.
No, listen, I might do, I might not do. And the fight's been had, it's been rehearsed. Is anybody of the belief that anything's going to be any different? Is Conor Benn suddenly going to grow 2 feet and put on 4 stone? Is Chris Eubank going to have lost all the impetus that he had in the first fight? Who knows? But what we've got is 2 fighters that are fighting because of the reputation of their fathers. They've had a barn burner of a fight that people think is wonderful, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
How was it for you, mate?
I thought that all the theatre and all the things that you're talking about added to the experience.
You liked it, yeah.
I really do. I think that, I think from Conor Benn's point of view, from minute one, he just went at him, and I get what you're saying in terms of it was a bar fight.
I knew he was going to do that.
Yeah, but I think it's what sometimes when you're in those environments, in these stadiums, as you'll know, you are craving blood a bit, you know what I mean? That energy is so high that you're thinking, just go for him. And we watch so many fights where boxers are just skipping around the ring and just like, feeling each other out, that when Conor just flew in there and actually even then seeing what Chris was able to do with his experience and riding the punches and so on, there was still a lot of beauty in there, I thought.
From round one.
Yeah.
From round one, Simon.
The intensity was there. Of course it was there.
Did they deserve the rematch?
If there hadn't been an intensity in that, then it would have been an absolute sham. Because the one thing that they could and should have had to be able to bring was the intensity. We heard all the background noise. We created this media spectacle, and we sat there and we watched something that people enjoyed. Now, if I didn't enjoy it, that's fine. I'm allowed not to enjoy something or to be part of it, because who cares what I think anyway? If they like it and they want to see it, I look at it and go, I spent a lot of time with Nigel Benn, I spent a lot of time with Chris Eubank Sr. I know which one of the two I prefer, all right, and I know which one of the two is more
But
real.
what does that matter anyway?
And I look at the whole spectacle because I object to the way the media lionises people and demonises them, and there's no in between. You're a hero or you're a zero, and it's crap and I don't like it.
Well, let me put this to you then. Is this now an easier or a harder sell second time around?
Well, you can't. You can only ring out
for the boxing public.
Well, you can only ring out the sentimentality of it once, right? You can't reveal Chris Eubank Jr. I mean, why people are so invested in that? Maybe it's because it's a father-son story. I get that, right? But the fact of the matter is, what can you do again? You can't smack him in the face with an egg again. You can only call him a cheat so many times. If he's a cheat, why are you fighting him? You're fighting for a big bag of money, so pack that in, right? So the cheat side of things, no integrity in that argument. Neither one of you are fighting for any belts. What are you actually fighting for? The match was decided. It was a convincing win for Chris Eubank Jr. So what you want to do is you want everybody to go back to the well to give you another 10 or 15 million quid. If that's what you want to do as a paying public, fantastic.
But the fact of the matter is, Jermaine, in my view, the two of them deserve to go back to the well and be paid big time.
Yeah,
because of what they served up first time.
Correct. I think from an athlete's point of view, I think when I look at Conor in particular, I think that...
You know him well, don't you?
Well enough to, to speak to. I think that he would have learnt a lot from that experience of being in the ring. And you can sit there and kind of say, well, is anything going to be any different? It was tight at points. I think Chris probably those last 3 rounds shown his experience and probably, the weight or whatever it may be is where Conor started then to fall back. And then does Conor then change his tactics for this one? I still think there's a lot of intrigue in what's going to happen. I do believe that it's just as easy a fight to sell. It's just whether we get as good a product as the viewing public, essentially.
What are you looking forward to more? Dubois Usyk 2 or Eubank Benn 2?
Yeah, they're tight. I still think...
How can it be tight? This is the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world between the two best heavyweights in the world, and you've got.
But I'm not sure the boxing public think that.
Two mediocre, unproven fighters that have never won anything.
Mediocre though. But you keep saying mediocre.
Everybody in boxing knows they're mediocre. Everybody does. It's only the observers looking and going, well, do you know what? Because of if
mediocre equals a detrimental term. They're not like that.
If this wasn't Eubank versus Benn as the headline, these weren't the names. No one would be opining on this in the same way. It's because of the legacy, the carriage of that.
But here's the thing: it's because of what you said before the first fight. You're kind of locked into that, and it's hard for you to get out of that.
No, not at all.
I think from a boxing point of view, sorry to put in, but I think from a boxing point of view, you are sometimes drawn by the characters more than also almost the ability a lot of the time.
Depends on how you want to view your sports.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, a lot of people will watch Better Biev versus Bivol as a boxing fan and go, I'll watch that all day because that is two of the best versus the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this instance, it's two of the biggest names in British boxing trading off their father's name, built up notoriety because one of them not allegedly, failed drugs test. The other one is a controversial, a real showman in Eubank. And you've got this wonderful mix in the middle that captivates the public's imagination. And that's nothing wrong with that. From my point of view, I look at it and I like to see, and people can say it's envy, it's none of the above. I like to see elite people getting elite rewards because they're elite. And I don't see these two as elite. I see how there can be even a parallel between the 4-belt heavyweight championship of the world, which was once upon a time arguably the greatest honour in sport to be the heavyweight champion of the world, had the two best in class fight in a ring, and compare it with these two.
But I think it's all about the story and what's the most anticipated fight. And this will be hugely anticipated again, because what if Conor loses again? Could be over.
For who? He's a welterweight. Fighting a super middleweight that's boiling himself down. He can go back down to 147 and get on with his career. He's got nothing to lose. The only thing he can lose is not having his fight. He's taking a big bag of money out of it.
What we don't want to see again is Jake Paul against Cesar Chavez
It's got a
Jr.
public story behind it. Why not?
But that is mediocre, mate. Having said that, come the time, wherever it is in London, and the fight comes along, I reckon you'll be tempted this time to go, because so many people are saying it. I'm saying it. Jermaine's saying it. We were all, Simon, literally on the edge of our seats from the first bell to the last. And I think if you're doing a rematch on the basis of that, it's worth attending. Now, I'm not trying to sell the fight. It's not fault to do with me. But I do think, yes, if it had been mediocre first time around, I would agree with you. But it was far from it. Far from it. And it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again.
Why is there any surprise? I mean, I knew this fight was going to happen again 6 weeks ago. There was never any parallel universe. There is an enormous bag of money. And who was not going to take it?
Sure. I'm going to put it out there this morning, Jermaine. This is what we do, and we will take calls even this early. But Benn against Eubank Jr. again, the rematch. Do the two of them deserve it? Do the boxing public want it, let alone deserve it? Give us a call on that. 03717 223344 810 89. Welcome, Jermaine. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Monday morning. Here we go again. Monday, June the 30th. Are we really through June already? We are. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Jermaine Genus. And we're with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. Of course we are. Courtesy of Selco, it's where the trade goes. You're out there in your numbers and you're calling in. I'm going to get to you. I love that. Even this early, so many calls coming in about Eubank Benn. And it's going again. Eubank Jr. fights Conor Benn again, somewhere in London, around September time. Do you want to see it? Should we be seeing it? Jermaine's a fight fan. He, like me, was there first time around. Simon didn't go, but Simon's saying, no, for various reasons, it's not high in his list of priorities. There is one message, not often I agree with Simon, but he's right about Benn and Eubank. Jim and Jermaine have spoken about the theatre and the story of it. Essentially, you're going to watch WWE. I'm not sure about that. I would go into it with an open mind again, Jermaine. Loads of calls come in, I'll get to them. But I go into it, Jermaine, thinking, I honestly don't know what the outcome's going to be.
No, but it's even still, right? Yes, there was a lot of stuff going on the periphery of the actual fight with Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank getting out of the car, senior.
Right.
But once they crossed that line, as we would say in football, once they crossed that white line, that was not WWE. They went at it.
That's true.
When they were in the ring. So, I'm looking at it from what happened on the inside. What happened on the outside was just a big bonus for a night out, essentially, for everybody that was in there, the boxing fans. But,
right. Mediocre. Simon used the word mediocre. None of that fight was mediocre.
No. They put everything on. I can see when athletes put everything on the line, in particular boxers, and you could see both of them left it all out there, and that's why they got the respect that they got. Yeah. And because that's all you're asking for.
At least they can do that.
It is, yeah.
In all fairness, we mustn't package things up as wow, we got what we should have got. Well, you paid for that. That's what you should get. Now, I know that in life you don't often get that. People say, "Oh, we played really well in a game." What's the alternative? He played crap then. He should be playing well.
Simon, how many? You've been to many fights, many more than me. Yeah. How many have you been to that didn't live up to the billing and absolutely should have done?
Yeah, there are fights that you can look at and say that, like Jermaine said at the top end of this show, which is people dancing around trying to avoid one another. We just saw it recently with Canelo Alvarez and William Scull trying to survive 12 rounds. Yeah. It's incumbent upon Canelo to deal with him in that respect. But the bottom line is I don't question the integrity of the fight.
Sure.
I question the level of hysteria that we raise around it.
Okay.
Not the quality of the... but first and foremost, Conor Benn cannot compete technically with Chris Eubank. Yeah. So my view is the same outcome will be the same. But if people want to pay for it, fantastic.
Well, this is it. Does the boxing public deserve a second instalment of Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn? We put it out there. Jermaine, the listeners in this show, the callers never let us down. They're out in numbers this morning. Tom, who's a Leeds United fan and no doubt a big fight fan, is through to us. Tom, good morning. Do you want to see this again?
Morning, gents. The first fight was great. It was phenomenal. But the problem is, there was such story to it. There was legacy, there was the fathers, the egg, the ban, everything. It happened, it was great. But I just think doing it again, I think it's a stupid idea. I think Conor Benn right now should be looking at himself going, right, if I get 2 losses, am I ever going to get a world title? No, he probably should go back to doing what he should be good at, get back to his weight limit, go back to where he's comfortable at and focus on going for a world title.
So that's unusual, Tom. You were having it first time around, but maybe not second time around.
Yeah, I just think the first time around there was so much to it. It had gone on for such a long period of time. I mean, I listen to you guys every single day. And I just,
thank you for that.
Talking about it, it was really, really good. No, I wouldn't listen to anything else. Finest folk on the radio.
Oh, and Tom, you're a lovely man, and I'm glad you've called, mate. To heck about the fight. Talk about us. Tom, thank you, mate. I really appreciate it. What about Mohammed in Cardiff? Are you having it second time around? Good morning, Mohammed.
No, good morning, lads. I completely agree with Simon and the caller that just called. I just think the fight is being hyped up to something that it shouldn't be. Conor Benn should go back to his division because the belts are available now because Gerard Boots Ennis has moved up to 154, and Chris Eubank is basically a cash-out fight. Chris Eubank knows he can't win a world title, so he knows this is the best financial fight that he can go for. So it's basically a cash-out fight, and we've already seen it. There's no storyline to it now. If there was world titles on the line, I could understand, but there's absolutely nothing apart from a big pot of money at the bottom of the road, basically.
So you won't be watching it?
I don't think I'll be watching it because I've seen it already. It's probably going to be the same outcome. So, Dubois face Usyk. Now that's a proper fight. You see, that's a fight that we should be hyping up. But 2 guys that are living off their daddy's name, I don't think I'm going to be watching it again.
Okay, Mohammed, fair enough. Very honest. This is where, again, I tell you what, this guy will not let us down. Mick, who's a big Sheffield Wednesday fan and a fight fan. Mick, good morning. The show can carry on now that you're on. What do you want to say, mate?
Good morning, everyone. I'm sick of this show because you make me agree with Simon Jordan all the time. Right? So...
Go on, agree with him, Mick. But why do you agree with him?
I'm doing. I mean, I didn't watch the first fight. I were along with Simon on that one. I'm not interested. Why that were a top of the bill fight, I'll never know. There's a saying in boxing about a good big un will always beat a good little un. That just emphasises the mediocre nature, to use Simon's word, of Chris Eubank Jr. for not getting rid of him early. And I'll not be watching a second fight. I've no interest in it.
Fair enough.
To to speak about this fight in the same sentence as Dubois versus Usyk is a disgrace from a show that pushes boxing as much as you do, and it's just ridiculous. You've got the elite and the not so elite, shall we say?
How do you think you'll feel a couple of days out from the next one when they go again, Mick? Do you think your attitude might have changed? Might you get caught up in it all?
No, it didn't change last time. Why would it next time?
I get a feeling when Mick makes a decision, Mick sticks to that decision, Simon.
Yeah, you're trying your very level best there to rinse something out of me. You're getting nowhere. You're going to find someone that agrees with you in a minute.
I'm not so sure we will. Do you mean if you and I are there, mate, fine. I mean,
look, they're going to pack
honestly,
out
I will buy into it.
They will pack out a stadium again. I think one of probably the biggest and better things with these two guys is they know how to sell a fight, and I think a new narrative will be created. It's as simple as that.
It will.
So the interest will grow, and they'll pack out whatever stadium it's going to be in London again. And like I said, they crossed that line. There's still some hatred between these two. There's respect now, more respect, I would say, but they still don't like each other.
Yeah, of course. And I reckon, Simon, what we want to know is, can Conor turn it round? Can he reverse?
Well, that's the intrigue. That's the narrative that's got to be sold.
Yeah.
Because if it can't be sold, then people's engagement will be less. Because if you believe that Conor is going to go into it, it's going to be rinse and repeat, then you're just watching something that doesn't have the same intrigue unless someone's going to script write and curate a wonderful set of narratives to be able to turn us back into the spectacle of Disneyfication that they were able to do in the first one.
Yeah.
With Chris smashing him in the face with an egg, all that went with that, with whether his father's going to come, whether his father's not going to come, Turkey Al-Sheikh's involvement, the controversy between the promoters. You've got the situation with Boxer now coming off Sky, so you've got that as a backdrop in terms of some intrigue about what can land where, when and why. But you'll have the script writers at Hollywood Central working out the narrative and feeding the lines to the two fighters to go off there and create it because they want to sell it. It's P.T. Barnum, roll up, let's go.
I've got to say, Paul, I wasn't going to read it, but I'll read it. The hypocrisy coming from Simon is killing me this morning. He's the first one to call out fighters who talk before fights and then don't back it up. He did it with Anthony Yarde and many others. Simon was desperate for the fight to be a washout so he could sit there all smug afterwards. But I'm afraid the two fighters on the night proved him wrong.
I don't think I've ever called Anthony Yarde out. I'm a big admirer of Anthony Yarde. The only thing I've called him out for is Tundi's absolute nonsense about making fights with Josh Boazzi, because I know the other side of the argument because I was in the discussions.
I'll get him yet, Jimmy, and there's plenty of time. 2.5 hours to go.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.